Hari Om. Hari Om to everyone. I invoke the grace of my Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji. So I feel today it's a great privilege to me in particular to meet all of you in online and share my thoughts. The topic is, right education is the key to peace. I was listening for the past half an hour. The previous speaker to the speaker Swami spoke, and then before that it was summarized some of the thoughts. So it's a very good, at least I could hear what would have gone or what would have been completed, what kind of thoughts were completed by other speakers. And I really feel happy to note today that our Swamiji, Hariprasad Swamiji, had chosen a very beautiful topic. I tell you, this is a wonderful topic. And, everything is a key there on education only. So I invoke the grace of the Lord and the entire lineage of the Guru. And in particular, of course, I invoke my Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananji. And also I invoke the grace and blessings of Puja Mataji, Swami Gnanananda Amma, so that they all bless all of us. Now, I also offer my salutations to all speakers and listeners. I was happy at least when the camera was shown some time back. So I could see some of the audience seated there in the hall. So my best wishes and Hari Om to all the listeners and organizers. To begin with, I would like to share some of the thoughts on this topic, wonderful topic. Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananji once said, the tragedy of the modern man is decreasing happiness in the midst of increasing comforts. So the comforts are increasing, the happiness is decreasing. That means what? What we need to address this problem is education. Lack of education is the problem. That means there is a lack of peace in the midst of all kinds of comforts, all kinds of technological progress. Many of them, of course, are deprived of these basic comforts also. But in the bargain, whether haves or have-nots, both of them are suffering all over the globe. So in the topic which is given today, as today means not to me, that the theme of the 3 days conference, right education is the key to peace. First of all, we have to define what education is or what education could be. Then what do you mean by right education? Then how the right education gives peace and prosperity in the world. So that we have to first analyze. Before that, meaning we come to the point, what do you mean by education? There's so many definitions are there. Many, many great Mahatmas, great scholars are all over the world, across the world. Some of the things I would like to share. Obviously, I am most influenced by my teacher, my Guru, Swami Chinmayananji. Of course, there are great Mahatmas also had impact on me. They are still having impact on me. So Gurudev says, when I say Gurudev, it is Swami Chinmayananji, says, education means training given to the mind so that it can face all kinds of challenges in one's life and bring peace within as well as without by upholding the values. Here, Puja Gurudev says very clearly, instruction, giving instruction is not giving education. So Gurudev says, we have instructors, but not the educators. Very few educators are there in the world, Gurudev would say, and mostly we are instructors, we have plenty of them. And he also says, education is the subjective phenomenon. Very beautiful. In fact, we can discuss a lot on this. Subjective phenomenon kindled in the student and maintained by the teacher. The teacher responsibility comes in. We have to kindle it and maintain that kind of a flame, that kind of inspiration, that phenomenon. And the true education, because the teacher is giving you instructions from outside, and the true education is gained by the student by one's own reflection. Therefore, teaching should also include the methods of reflection. In Shastric language, we say Shravana and Manana. Nididhyasana will come later. But how do we do Manana? That also is important. So education is in this kind, White Swami Chenmayananji defined. And you all know the very, very famous definition given by Puja Swami Vivekananda ji. He says education is the manifestation of perfection which is already in man. That means the perfection brought out through right kind of education will bring out the integrity within each individual, as just the speaker was telling, the earlier Swami who spoke. Ultimately, the individual piece is important. I could understand little Tamil. So, the little individual piece is important. As Gurudev says, individual peace alone will lead to the world peace. Another couple of two definitions we will see on education, very important. Education, we know that comes by teaching only. Reflection after listening, Shravan. So, what do you mean by teaching? It's a very important definition. Teaching is a process of constructively influencing a child to evolve the latent creative potentialities which are latent. Each one of us are divine, each one of us are full, each one of us are pure consciousness. So whatever the latent creative potentialities are there, they have to be evolved through teaching, a process, and guarding them after evolving them, after manifesting them in the child or in the student or in you and I. The Guru, what the Guru does, he has to guard them from both the external and internal destructive elements. It is called prachodanam. Dhyoyona prachodaya. So the prachodanam is done by the Guru and it is maintained. And education also important is, it is to, what you call, rightfully, in a proper manner, strike all the chords of all personality layers. Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara in Sanskrit, or all the layers of personality, emotional, mental, intellectual, physical, all the layers of personality, that each one has to be struck properly so that all of them can bring out a music of life. And another one I just wanted to read out here, a great definition given by a Tibetan master. He says, education is the training intelligently given, which will enable the youth meaning any child or the everybody, any listener, any student, enable the youth of the world to contact their environment with intelligence. Contact their environment with intelligence and sanity and adapt themselves to the existing conditions. This contains volumes of thoughts. A master by name Jwalkul, he had given one of his books long back, a century-year-old book. So in that book, he mentioned this. So the question is that education has to be given, imparted. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not going to quote the Subhashitam, a very well-known Subhashitam is there. Especially Indian audience, they would appreciate this. Vidyanama narasya roopamadhikam all that Prachanna Guptam Dhanam, Vidya Bhogakari, all that I'm not explaining that. Ultimately, he says, Vidya Vihina Pashu. So there's actually the one, without any knowledge, without education, is equal to a beast. So therefore, what I want to we have to understand is that, what do you mean by peace now? So education, we have seen some of the definitions. Here I would like to, again, beautiful thing. One of the talks Swami Chinmayanji gave. I'm quoting Gurudev because there are many apt related quotations for this topic. I heard one of his talks, Puja Gurudev's talks, personally. He said, everybody wants peace in the world. Everybody says, I want peace. I want peace. I want peace. And Swamiji said, remove I and the want, what remains is peace. Then he explained, I is the ego. The want is egocentric desires, selfishness, which has been beautifully, sarcastically I'm talking, very nicely taught everywhere how to be selfish in the world. So as long as this thought is there, I want peace, what disturbs the peace first of all? The peace I'll just tell you in the coming this one. That harmony, the beauty of coexistence, that we are all living on a beautiful planet. As the poet says, is a beautiful blue planet suspended mysteriously in the infinite velvet dark space, velvety space, dark space, black space. Small tiny dot it is. On that we are unable to live in peace. So therefore, peace is actually in a harmony. That has to be created only through education, understanding, unfoldment of our consciousness. And that solves all the problems. If you can really analyze, I'm sure all of you know that the root problem, all the problems of the world, the root problem is spiritual problem. Spirituality is not the problem. The lack of understanding that I am one with the totality. So in Bhagavad Gita very beautifully says, Who sashanti mapnoti na kama kami apuryamana machala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yadvat. Like the ocean, the rivers water is gallons of river waters are entering into the ocean. In spite of all that, but ocean is up to the brim but full, but then it is not disturbed, it is not agitated. Similarly, the peace is the result of actually how harmoniously I can live. Today, the greed factor has to be addressed today at individual level, the family level, the national level. Some expansionist countries also are there in the world. I'm not naming anybody. I want more, I want more, I want more. The greed aspect. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Shanti Madhigachyati. Who? One who has given up all kinds of selfish desires. That's called, I'll come to the very important points are there. So, the Vihaya Kaman Yas Sarvan, Puman Charati Nispruhaha. Beautiful thing. Live in this world. Use everything, but don't get attached to it. So, sharing. I want peace, but then my greed is increasing, my desires are increasing, I'm lashed by left and right by all kinds. Then there's no education also to make us understand. So right education is the key. So there's no doubt about it. Our outer peace, of course, is a result of healthy living with harmony, with good health, food, clothing, shelter is required. Then only peace is there. Of course, there's no doubt about it. I'm able to talk because there is a peaceful environment around me. There's electricity, there all the comforts are there. You are also listening in comfortable place. The outer also necessary, there's no doubt about it. But then they are created. They are born out only when there is inner peace and lack of greed. So therefore, one important point which we have to teach right education is, as you think, so you become. So the thinking has to be corrected. The chip, actually, we're putting a chip, wrong chip in the children. That, for funny sake, I used to give the corporate world when I go, I used to give this definition of career definition. There's no career definition anywhere. We are taught. What is that we are taught? So funny definition is that understanding psychological is that how to make myself comfortable at the cost of others. How can we have peace in this dimension? That's called my career. So I said, I defined that. I said, my dear, career, it cannot be the definition of career. Career means it should be taught that in what way you are asset to a country, to the society, to family, to the globe. So I'm an asset, like a carpenter, plumber, doctor, engineer, etc., etc., etc. That has to be taught. So therefore, what is right education then? So I was thinking on right education only. So I would just want to share. Right education means what? That education which creates harmony between the body, mind and intellect inside first. Sharira Mana Buddhi. For their smooth function within first definition of it. Under the well-nourished system of values, value system should be good. So that each educated, right education, be harmonious, educated with a boy or girl will become extremely sensitive to the needs of the people around him. That sensitivity is lacking, my dear, today. I'm insensitive to the needs of the people around. So then out of that sensitivity, compassion is born. The David Attenborough's this beautiful, on the planet of Earth, life on the planet of Earth. Very, 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 if you see that the documentary, David Attenborough's film, Netflix, it is available. It's a very, it's a heart rendering what we are doing with the planet. Only one problem, lack of education, lack of right education, disturbing the peace within because of the greed, so many desires, selfishness, all that we are creating in the world. So therefore, sensitivity is required. To be aroused, sensitivity, I have to be sensitive to the environment. Ecological balance is there. Plants, the forest, animals, oceans, towards everything, whole nature, I should be sensitive. Then the outer peace is created. I know how to relate myself to the people around. And that is called right education, by which one would become humble and not arrogant. Basically, we are all human beings. Each of us are different in our swabha. Doesn't matter. That education has to be taught. Then only I can make peace with all of you. You can make peace with me also. So the equal, as Bhagavan Krishna says, I should not agitate you. You should not get agitated in my presence. And another important aspect of right education is the peace we wanted. No, peace is not external. Only when internal peace is there, external reflects it. That everybody knows. Shankaracharya says in one of the commentaries, alam pratyaya, enough, the thought of enough, idea is enough. Enough for me. I need not have possessed more than what I required. I am actually disturbing the total peace, total environment, somebody is deprived. That kind of a thought. That kind of sensitivity has to be given today. So therefore, absence of pride, that is right education, and willing to contribute positively to society, that is right education. And right education means to train into our kind of true thinking. How do you think? Thinking is to be there, and right kind of a thinking. Right thinking is a training, and that thinking which leads to peace has to be cultivated, has to be taught. We should be trained. They should be trained. So that thinking, the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, already that has idea been floated on thousands of years, that we are all one family. It is not only an ideal I am talking. It was realized by the Rishis in the past. It was a state. It is not an ideal to be achieved. It was a recollection or making us remember that state which we were. The planet was like that once upon a time in the beginning. That the coexistence, the harmony, the values flourished, that is alone has given, it has become our ideal now, because we have forgotten that glory, we have lived that glory, mankind I'm talking, in the past. So that has to be remembered, that has to be recalled. So building up of Antakarana. How do we align the thought structure? Friends, I'm just asking you, please think, all of you, please think. Very simple thing. We want society without corruption. We want society with cooperation, etc., etc., etc. Beautiful values, everything, culture, etc. But are we teaching them? Without creating a cause, how can we get an effect? It amuses me. You are educating them in academic way, only academics, and you expect him to live culturally with values, with sensitivity, with the contribution, the absence of greed, love, commitment, honesty, integrity. We never taught them, no. We only taught how to make money, how to stample others upon, and how to face ourselves, be happy. You show your ugly face to the world after making yourself rich in the world. How it is possible? So the Vidya Vihina Pashahu, that is what is happening. So the right education is another important is that I'm only defining right. It's achieving the balance between the inner world and the outer world. And Bhagavad Gita speaks about this balance. Samatvam yoga uchyate. So it is right education means what? To train the mind to see the whole and act efficiently in your own field of dharma. Each one of us are our own places. So we have to do our duty, our best, and radiate that peace wherever we are. So therefore, no, think global, act local. This is a mantra. Samasti dharanam. Samasti you should keep in the mind. And all of us must keep the totality in view and act where we are placed. And this can be achieved only through right education. You are a part of the cosmos. Physically, I'm talking as a upadhi you take with upadhi. You are not alienated. You are not separated from totality, my dear children, my dear youth, my dear everybody, students. We are one with it. Let us live in that totality, in that existence of oneness. Otherwise, you know what happens? Ayan nijaha paroveti, laguna ganana laguchetasam, udara charitam tu. Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Udara Charita. We must make Udara Charita. That kind of people we must create. So therefore, actually inner peace and outer peace, let us not separate it. Because outer peace is only the reflection of the inner peace. It will come. But once I am peaceful, I know how to address the problems, ecological, social, all kinds of physical problems. I am at peace first, then I'll address and I'll try to bring that, I try to reflect that kind of peace in the outer world. Then whatever important thing is, I tell you, three formulas are very important. One is what we need to achieve through right education. What does mean right education? Again is compassion, which I spoke already, sensitivity, compassion. Second thing is commitment. And third is caring. These three are never taught. Taught in some families, they are being taught. Somewhere, casually we may teach, but we are not actually building these ideas within them. Constructing Antakarana, building of Antakarana, or building of this kind of beautiful thoughts, structured. So one is compassion towards all beings, commitment for the prosperity, for the well-being of totality in society, both within and without, of course, and the caring, practicality. These are the important. And a great spiritual master explained long back in a big way. I read in some of the books. So, you know, what he needed at an international level is that between nations at international level at all, how to international cooperation, etc. That, you know, justice is one thing required. Justice, love, and sharing. We always would speak of these three values. Sharing between the nations, between the communities. Otherwise, you know, you have heard some reports that the tons and tons of some grains are thrown into the ocean only to maintain the market value. There are so millions and millions of poor people are there. So actually, you know, we are the disparities. So okay, my prarabdha, my destiny, I got so much of money, so much of wealth accumulated because of my purva punya karma. That's okay. But what is that to be done now? So friends, unfortunately, I have 2 more minutes time. So at 2 minutes, maybe I will take 2 minutes more extra. I was given 25 minutes. So 7:05, I'm supposed to conclude, 1 more minute left. Okay. So we need academic education ke saath saath, life education has to be given. And 90% of focus is only on academic education. And hardly we speak as a syllabus, as a something we have to teach. So we teach values. Actually, that kind of living is not there. So that world free from poverty, free from ill health, free from ignorance of many things. And unless, friends, remember, all these things will come. Not at superficial level. From the heart, if they want to come, we must become necessarily spiritual. Spirituality will address all kinds of problems. So right education is nothing but, as Vivekananda said, as Gurudev said, training the mind, invoking that divinity inside, that sensitivity, compassion, etc., etc. Therefore, right education is the root of everything, and spirituality is the jad, root of all progress and prosperity. There is no problem. Technological growth will take place. There will be all kinds of harmony. But right education has to be given. And through that only, the greed factor is addressed only through spiritual values. When greed is removed, poverty will be alienated, sharing will come, justice will come, love will come out. The greed has to be addressed first. And that can be done only by arousing sympathy and compassion or sensitivity. And that is possible only through spiritual education, wherein we say that the spirit within you and others are same. We are all one. The beautiful planet we are living. We live only for a few years here. Let us live harmoniously. Let us share. These kinds of ideas only is right education. The key is spirituality. So I thank Swami Hariprasad ji and all the members of the organization, Vishnu Mohan Foundation. I invoke the blessings of Puja Gurudev and Swami Gnanananda Mataji. Thank you for giving this opportunity and wonderful topic. And of course, the process for right education, we have to cover so many topics and stories are required. So we have to take the support of scriptures for that. So slowly we have to, but begin with the young age. And one request is all of us, we must do our bit. As Gurudev says, so Chinmay says, in Chinmay Mission, we do that. At least under any banner is not important. So you can teach these values to your own children in your own apartments, 10 people, 20 people. Bring them together, share these beautiful ideas of Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, or all the great masters and all over the world. Great spiritual leaders are there. Tell their stories. That, if we do that, that's a real contribution to society. In that way alone, we can live our life with commitment that we have done something to the country, that satisfaction we get before we exit from this beautiful world. Thank you. Hari Om.